the conversations that we'll have will be around how do we lead, but the bigger conversation is how do we influence others, whether we're talking about leading down or leading sideways or leading up. What we're talking about is how do we influence others by our way of reacting, connecting, dealing, coaching them, and whether or not we are effective at influencing, meaning creating change. So when we think about what does leadership look like in terms of results, well, leadership looks like that others are influenced by the leaders and that results that the leader gets because of that influence. So one of the things to look at when we think about how influential I am or am I being followed is the book, it's an older book, but it's a good book, The Measure of a Leader. And so that talks about the fact that when someone is leading and people are following, that there are observable characteristics that we find in the followers. And the first one is that the behaviors of the followers support the leader's goals. So the leader's got goals, they're working on goals, they're trying to accomplish things, and the followers then are using their discretionary effort above and beyond their skills or motivation to help to support those goals and help the leader to achieve success. And if we don't see that, then we have to really question whether or not we're leading or influencing that situation. The second characteristic of those followers is that they're willing to make sacrifices for the leader's cause. So that says that they're not volunteering to make those sacrifices necessarily, but they're willing to make them. And those sacrifices might be that they're learning to run a new piece of equipment, or they're participating on a team to develop new SOPs, or they're willing to work overtime or come in on their day off or delay their break, or they're willing to do a job that is needed because nobody else is available or qualified to do that. And in many cases then they're willing to do that job and then help somebody else to learn that job if it's one that they don't particularly like to do. But what we see then is that there's a sacrifice that's being made. And equally, if we're leading sideways or leading up, what we're seeing is that other people that we're leading or influencing is willing to make some sacrifices, willing to sacrifice the team, willing to sacrifice their own desires, willing to do something to help the person that is influencing them, or the leader in that case. Another characteristic that we see of the follower is that they encourage others to conform. And I like this one because it says that if they see someone else operating unsafely or producing bad quality product or slow walking, not working hard, that they'll talk to that individual. So it's not the leader that'll have to do that, they'll do that. And then the last one is that, well, they really manage themselves. They conduct themselves in ways the leader approves. And so, we all have good days, we all have bad days, but if the follower is having a bad day, they remember that others are counting on them, and they remember what the leader needs from them, and so they manage themselves, they manage others, they make sacrifices, and then they do their best. They bring that discretionary effort.